Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube, where today, for a CHINWAG, I'm joined by Jake from West Ham Unofficial. Jake, how are you, mate? You be keeping well?
Yeah, not bad. Good to speak to you, Mark, and good to come on. Hope you were. Yeah, all things good. Doing stuff in the transfer window early on, which is unlike us. So yeah, nothing to complain about really.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's been quite a good summer so far for us, isn't it? I mean, it's we're definitely going about our business quite well, I think, and there's a bit of intent I can sense in West Ham that we're not going to sort of tread water. It feels like we're actually going to push on, which is exciting. And obviously, you've got your own channel keeping you busy. I've seen I was going to bring it up a little bit later. Actually, Tony Cottee was on your show not long ago, wasn't he?
Yeah. Last week actually, Monday, Tuesday it was. Tony Cottee came on for an interview on the channel. Yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights over the last 2 years. I've been doing it on West Ham Unofficial. Just normal YouTubey stuff. Transfer stuff at the moment is keeping us all occupied. But yeah, I had McAvenny on and now Cottee as well, which was fantastic. Some really good insight on what he feels about the club at the moment and how things are going, and of course his playing days as well, which is just really insightful and really good. That was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, to be honest, it took me by surprise, really. I mean, I'm a massive Tony Cottee fan. I was a kid. I just absolutely loved him. And even my favourite number was 27 when he took that number on when he came back to the club from Everton. And brilliant interview, mate. I was really impressed with it. So yeah, fair play to you. I was going to ask you then, Jay, if we go back to the beginning then for yourself, because people don't know you. You're quite a prominent figure now on YouTube. You've started your own channel and you're well known. You've done fantastic content. But where did it all start for you then, West Ham? Is it something that runs in your family?
Yeah, so it kind of runs through my dad's side of the family. A few of them used to live up near Ilford, near West Ham. Where it all was. And my dad kind of brought that on. Used to go up and stay with them before a match at Upton Park, and I've just kind of took it on as well over the years. And definitely, I'd say since past lockdown, I've definitely taken more of a serious liking to it. Before that I was still a fan. It was still, I was this and I was there, but I feel like in the last couple of years I've really taken it on, and I'm enjoying it. And of course, with the YouTube side of things, means I'm talking about West Ham a lot more than a normal 14-year-old who supports West Ham.
I know. I've got to be honest. I mean, when I look at your, I've known you've been around on the scene for a couple of years now, doing bits and pieces. And when I've looked back at when you first came around, and now where you see you are now, you can see where you've really grown into this. Like you've really stepped it up, and like we're just talking about having people like Tony Cottee on your show. So it's really impressive, I think, and I think it inspires others to do similar things. I mean, is this something that you want to do in your career going forward, and you want to take on a more professional route to doing it?
Yeah, that's the kind of route that the dream would be. That's the kind of direction I want to take it in. But yeah, just taking it back to the start with it, a couple of friends were doing things here and there, and that on YouTube, have your YouTube channel, this and that, and really September 2020 I took it on as more of a predominantly West Ham based show, and people have taken a liking into it, and I've all my thanks to all the other channels that have helped me to grow, had me on their shows, promoted my stuff, because I wouldn't be sat here and doing and speaking to you now without those guys, because they really have helped me get to the position that I'm in, and I'll be forever grateful for that. But yeah, I've really grown into it. You've got your own little community, and then I think I'm something different with it as well. Everybody else has blokes on their chat, and there's just me in the back of my bedroom talking about it as a 14-year-old West Ham fan. I think that's what makes me a little bit different about it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, there are gaps in the market, and you are the future. And I just think you've done really well. And although you say, I know there's a lot of people that you say you tip your hat to, as it were, to say, thank you for getting where you are. But I think as well, your talent shines through as well, mate. You do deserve to be where you are, and long may it continue. It's good. It's good, mate. Really exciting. Looking back then, at terms of your West Ham, what you can tell us about your first experience at the game? Was it at Upton Park, and where did you first come to your first match, as it were?
The story that I can tell, I always tell, that I do remember the most was back at Upton Park. It was in March 20. Oh crikey, mine's gone black now. 2014, I think it was.
You would regret this. You just make me feel old. This is a terrible question. Let's scrap this.
Yeah, I think it was March 2014 was the first game I can remember vividly. We played Sunderland at home in typical West Ham fashion up until the 88th minute. It was absolute rubbish. 0-0 it was, and then all of a sudden, because I think we were right at the back of the Bobby Moore stand, and we were kind of like getting ready to go, so I'd like come down from where I was standing on the seat looking over everybody, of course, standing up, and all of a sudden a couple of blokes in front go on, and I'm like, what's going on? We're going. And then somebody went, Sacco, yeah, and it just went ballistic, and I was like, I don't know what to do. We've just scored a last minute winner. Diafra Sacco put it in against Sunderland. A last minute winner is always good, but that's the first memory I have from West Ham, from Upton Park. One of my very, very few memories from Upton Park was that game, was that day, and that moment where everybody just went absolutely ballistic because we scored a last minute winner.
Yeah, mate. The moments you never forget, isn't it? I mean, I remember when I first. I mean, I'm still getting even now when I walk into the London Stadium, when you see that pitch. When you get, when you walk past and you get like a glimpse of it when you're sort of going through the, behind the seating area, and when you're just seeing that grass, it just always excites me. I mean, it's just there's something really magical about it. And I mean, when I look back at mine, it was. It was well before yourself. It was like 92 or something. But I remember just being so like the atmosphere just took me in, and I just totally fell in love with it. I mean, I think I found it quite intimidating. I think at first Upton Park, but then I just after a while I realised it was all a bit of a family feel to it, all in it together, and loved it, mate. And I can totally understand where you're coming from. But in terms of your channel, then I mean, you've got now. So you guys say you've got Tony Cottee, Frank McAvenny. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more coming along. Who would you love to get on your show? There's someone that you haven't had yet.
There's a few. I would like to do a couple more interviews from more recent times that I can what's the word, kind of like relate to more than perhaps a Cottee and McAvenny. They are fantastic, and the stories and what they've said and done when they've come on my channel has been amazing. I've always looked at it and went, Jack Collison. I've got no idea why. It's just I think I watched an interview with what one of the guys did, and I went, yeah, I'd love to have him on Carlton Carl. I think he's a right nice guy. Watching the kind of the Europa League stuff with him, Joe Cole and Jules Breach on there, that was a journey in itself. Not even the games, just like the pre-match, half-time, and after-match with Carlton Carl. That was good. I'd love to have him on. And I would like to do a few more recent times ones, but it's just incredible to do any sort of ex-player content as and when you can get it. It's just so I
was going to ask you, that's the other thing as well. I mean, you're right. Carlton can't be amazing, but do you ever get times when you sort of pinch yourself, thinking like, I actually can't believe that when you started your channel and when you started doing what you're doing, would you must be thinking, I can't believe I'm actually sitting here chatting to Tony Cottee. I mean, there's not many people get to do these things, and you're doing it now for something that could be potentially your career. I mean, it's really incredible, mate. I mean, do you ever think like that? Do you sometimes sort of can't believe how well you've actually done?
Yeah, especially with Tony Cottee. To be fair, I think my dad was more nervous sat down watching it on a telly than I was myself, because he's like, I watched him, he was my hero. McAvenny the same last year. People in the chat who watched the likes of Cottee and McAvenny live were like, wow, I've got Jake here sitting with Cottee. For me, it's amazing, but I just don't think I do get the same buzz of a player that I've watched and related to. It's amazing to have these people on. It really is fantastic. But I'm sure that I know the more older generation certainly would appreciate it more than people like I do, for example. But it's still fantastic, and it's definitely a pinch me moment when I look back at that McAvenny interview I did 12 months ago, and then the Cottee interview that I did just last week, and it's just a good stepping stone and a highlight of my YouTube career so far, those two interviews for sure.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, also you're speaking to me today. That must be a pinchy moment.
Definitely.
I mean, obviously,
Mark Carlaw, West Ham way.
I'm sure the whole family have all gathered around the TV. Later on, of course. So transfer window. As you touched on already, West Ham are doing a bit of business. We're looking quite exciting. What's your thoughts on it so far? Then, are you very pleased with who West Ham have brought in?
Yeah, I am. I just want to touch on, because at the end of the January transfer window last year, or this year, I suppose it was, we had that kind of 3-day period where everything went a bit ballistic because people were peed off because we hadn't signed anybody. And then we started being linked with Phillips and Nunes and Rafinha. And there was that kind of like period where like, are we actually linked into these players? Are we actually bidding for these players? So I think that's when the intent changed for me. That because we've heard in the months past that some of those bids were actually reality. You know, we did bid £50 million for Calvin Phillips, we believe, and now he's gone to City for 42 million. We actually bid for these players, and the intent was there towards the end of that window. And I think we have brought that into this window by, we have signed some players that you probably hadn't have heard of 2 or 3 weeks ago, in the likes of Flynn Downs and Naya Fagurd as well. But we've signed up Areola. You know, we've been linked and heavily linked to a striker like Brozier, which has proven in the Premier League that he can do it, and I think he will do it in the Premier League with better players around him. He didn't rip up trees at Southampton, but I think that's hugely down to the players he had around him, if I'm honest. I think he is a very good player, and with the likes of Jarrod Bowen, Pablo Fornals, whoever else around him, I think he does go up in flames. He knows where the goal is, and sometimes West Ham fans say Mikel Antonio doesn't know where the back of the net is. But I definitely think we show more intent. I'm happy with it. 3 signings in the first month. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. Goalkeeper ticked off, centre back ticked off, and a centre midfielder as well. There's still work to be done, but I think every West Ham fan can say that they are at least satisfied so far with our transfer business.
I agree. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, from my point of view, I like all of us. I think we get a little bit impatient. We all expect it to be fast, and we all want it to be quick because that's the nature of it. And I think, you know, we play FIFA and we all think that's what it's like. You just put a bid in, sit down with a player, it's done within an hour. Where in reality, it doesn't really happen like that. I mean, you look at the Brozier situation, you can kind of see how this is playing out. And I think with that, you know, player in particular, you look at Chelsea and their position they're in, they're not going to go and sell their striker when they've just let Lukaku go out on loan. And he's effectively their only striker at the club at the moment. So it would be a big gamble for them to then sell him to West Ham, and then they go about and try and replace him. So you can kind of see they're probably thinking, well, look, let's just wait and see how well we are. Let's bring in Sterling, let's bring in a couple of others to see where, and then we might look at releasing them. I think West Ham, that's sometimes we just need to be a little bit patient. But I think you're right. I mean, you look at it now, we're a month in, there's 3, you know, positions filled, you know, we needed. The goalkeeper was, you know, I'm really pleased about. I mean, the fact that we've got a keeper now that's going to kind of be our number one you'd expect for the next 4 or 5 years, or maybe even longer. You know, I think that's what we need as a club, a bit of, you know, longevity in these moves. Flynn Downs, I mean, he was one that, I mean, I saw him play a couple of times last season in the Championship. He's a decent player. But I was quite surprised we were linked with him because I actually thought he was certain to go to Crystal Palace. But I actually think he looks good. He's a really good player. Got an exciting prospect there, and it's just a model that works so well for us, isn't it? This Championship, going to that league, and with the players we brought through over the years, you got Aaron Creswell, you know, Bowen, and these players have gone on to do really well for us. So yeah, I hope that continues. In terms of then targets, I mean, we talked about Brozier. Who else would you like to see the club bring in terms of, you know, a realistic target? If you could have like a bit of a dream signing this summer, who would that be?
I'm very vocal on my channel about I think I need to see a left back this summer, because as much as, you know, you just mentioned Darren Cresswell there, he's been a very good servant to the club. Yes, it was only a pre-season game, and yes, I only watched the first half, but I think Cresswell is behind it, if I'm honest, and it was very unfortunate what happened towards the back end of our Europa League campaign, and to be honest, some fans will still hold a grudge against him. I just simply don't think he will be good enough next season to the quality that we want and need to play. Personally, a good backup that I think can stay there. He's been a very good servant to the club. He has created some very good memories over the years, but I think we do need to look to invest in a starting left back that's going to, because I do think that's the weak point of our back four. I think right back, that's solid for a good few years now. You know, we've got plenty of right backs. Centre backs, we've just signed another one. I think we're okay there. You know, as much as our centre back department is aging, of Bonner, Dawson, whoever else, but we've just signed a word. We've still got Diop here for however much longer that's going to be. We really don't know. But I do think left back is the kind of weak point disappointing that back four, and I'd love to see us sign a good proper left back, and that's why I'm really disappointed yesterday to see Hickey go to Brentford. That did frustrate me, because I think he would have been a perfect player to bring in. I did like that Tagliafico that we were linked with towards the back end of the last January transfer window. It seems like he's going elsewhere for £5 million, a European proven left back. He's still only 29 years old, experienced. I think he would have been a very good buy for peanuts with a few years left in him, but it seems like he's going elsewhere. A left back, a striker for me, it's just got to be absolute priority now. And we would like another centre midfielder, so 2 in, 2 out. But Coventry could play that role if Moyes is feeling really out there.
Well, it's a funny one, Coventry, isn't it? I mean, I actually really feel for the lad, because I thought last pre-season I thought he was very, very good, and the games I've seen him play, I thought he was shooing to the squad. I didn't really understand why he was pushed out on loan. I was a bit surprised, and I actually think we actually did need him last season. There were games when I thought he could have stepped in and done a good job. We had Mark Noble obviously available, and he did actually, to be fair to him, did well in his last season for us. But realistically, Coventry should have been in the squad, in my opinion. And it's just obviously something not quite right there for me. I mean, I think if he doesn't make it this season into in his Moyes' plans, I think he has to be sold.
Yeah,
only for his benefit, really, because you look at the situation and think at his age now, he's got to be playing, isn't he? And he's such a good player and a good lad. It'd be a real shame. So I'm really hoping, like you say, he proves it to Moyes. And I even X did say that he cut short his holiday as well. I think he was supposed to be on leave, but he decided to scrap it and come back in and work. So I think that just shows a lot about the lad.
Yeah, I think that's key as well. I think he did start the game against Servette a couple of days ago. The pre-season is key for a few of these players. I think it's Ashby, Alese, and Coventry. He started probably in that game the 3 most likely to break through into the first team, in my opinion, this season. Ashby, I think he's very good. I mean, he showed that in I think it was the Carabao Cup game against Spurs away. I thought he was excellent. I really do think he's got a future at West Ham ahead of him. We've got some very good young right backs there, and he is certainly one of them. Alese, very good. I think will definitely become a very, very good centre back. And then Coventry as well. The pre-season is key for these players. They've got to prove themselves to David Moyes, because we know how stubborn he is. He won't pick these youth and young players if he doesn't think they are really good enough. So they've got to prove themselves, which I think they do have the potential to. But at the end of the day, their West Ham career now is in the hands of David Moyes, really.
And do you know what? And I know we do get frustrated with Moyes at times. I know he's called Differing Dave and he likes to think, but I'll tell you what, I love that about him in a way, that how he's just so particular in what he wants and the kind of standard he sets. And I think that's shown really since he's been back at the club, the players he's brought in and how he treats, and what he expects from certain players, and well, for every player. But yeah, and I think it holds us in good stead. So although it seems a bit harsh sometimes, and how he's so particular and how he treats others, but also how he is in the transfer market, he's got a certain type of player. And it's not, I don't think it's even just on ability as well. It seems to be hones in a lot in on the actual person and whether they're going to fit in and got the right attitude and the hunger. So
every box has got to be ticked for David Moyes to sign a player.
Absolutely. I think that's that, and that is the key. And although it holds us in good stead, and you do know, then that always gives you a bit of comfort, doesn't it? When a player comes in, you think, well, he must be pretty decent for Moyes to sign this off. And hence, we look at Flynn Downs, prime example of that. I think we're all kind of now going, well, there's got to be something very good about this lad for us to spend that sort of money, bring him in, from the Championship. It's quite exciting. And it's the way it goes. Another one I was going to mention to you as well, Mark Noble. I was just touched on him a minute ago. So David Moyes has now revealed that the club are looking to bring Mark back in to the fold. I don't know if you've seen that, but he was saying about as well it's going to be like a sporting director role. What's your thoughts on that and seeing Mark Noble return?
Yeah, I would love it. I would really love to see him go into a role, whether it's a sporting director or as something important to put some authority into this, into the kind of not the backroom staff, but higher up. If I'm honest with you, I don't think he's going to be here straight away, because he did mention quite a lot towards the end of the season that he now owes some time to his family and to his wife, which is completely fair enough. His life for the last how many years has been West Ham, and that's it really. I would expect him to take a good year off, or he might just say, "Oh, I don't care, I'm going back to West Ham." But I do think certainly within the next 2 years he will be in in a role at West Ham, whatever role that that might be. But we do know that role won't be wasted at all, because he wants the best for the club. He will get the best for the club, and he will make sure the right decisions be made in whatever role he has. But a lot of people say, get rid of Karen Brady, put Mark Noble in his role. in our role.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, I generally, it'd be great, Mark. I think at the end of the day, we know, his love for the club. He's in the right place, and I just generally think with his experience as well, he seems like an astute man and knows how things work. And David Moyes alluded to the fact that he's actually been working on behind the scenes and training for a certain role. So I think you're right, and I get the impression from him that, like you said, he did say he wanted some time off with the family, but you get the feeling he's probably already getting a bit itchy feet and thinking, I want to go back to work, and get involved in the club. So I'm kind of expecting he'll be back in before Christmas. That's my gut feeling, but. We'll wait and see, but you can imagine him sitting at home now, can't you? Sort of just like twiddling his thumbs.
Well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, playing FIFA was West Ham, But yeah, I can imagine. So it's very good. Another change as well I did see, Jake, wanted to ask you about was safe standing. So the government have announced that the trials for this, because there was trials on last season at a few grounds. I think Chelsea, Manchester United did it, and Cardiff. And then they were very successful. So now they're saying, right, okay, from this season onwards, Wembley's going to have safe standing. Premier League clubs are allowed to have it. Championship clubs. And West Ham, I believe, London Stadium are, one of the front runners to get it sorted out. Is that something that you're happy with?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was strange for the first time, because I think as at Chelsea in the away end they had it, and at Spurs as well. And I think up by the away end, up in the top tier, they've got it for the home fans as well, and in the away end at the London Stadium. I think there is safe standing there. I like it, I do, because especially I'd like to see it put in Bobby Moore lower, because I think it would generate more of an atmosphere there, and overall in the ground, I think it would bring the atmosphere more up together, and I think it is better. It does in a way ruin the away day, people jumping from 3 rows on top of each other, but to be fair, the government and nobody really want that.
No.
But the bars there, in this day and age, it's got to be done on it, because they've seen. I'm sure the people at the top have seen those videos and went, well, that's not very health and safety friendly, is it? So they went, right, let's try these bars. And yeah, I don't mind. I do prefer standing at football. I don't like sitting down at football. I just don't like it. I prefer to stand up. And if this is what's got to happen, it's got to happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree totally with you, mate. I think it'd be great. I did a poll actually on Twitter about it, and I think it was 55% said they would like it on all the bottom tier. Some people said, I think it's 40% said in certain sections of the ground, and then I think 5% said they didn't want it at all. I'm surprised that was 5%. I was expecting that to be 0, to be honest. But yeah, I think it'd be great, and I think as well it'd be good for in terms of the club and the relationship with the fans as well. I mean, obviously David Sullivan and David Gold have been working, to be fair to them, doing quite well. I think the last couple of years, I think they've kind of listened to the fans' concerns about how things have been run, especially with the the media comments and everything else that's been going on, and kind of it's embarrassed us over the the last couple of years. The last few years, and now it just seems like now that they're sort of behaving a bit better. I'm not saying it's perfect, definitely not, but I just think that something like this, if they could say, right, we're going to introduce it, and not just by a little bit, I think it'd be nice to see a fair amount of safe standing at London Stadium. It'd really help the atmosphere, and I think the fans would really welcome it, to be honest. Because I have seen that they're doing some works on the stand that I sit in, which is the West Stand lower. Right, I don't know if have you seen this layout? Have you seen that?
I might have done. Yeah. They're kind of changing it around slightly.
It's weird. It's really strange. It's the only thing they basically sent out a message and said this is what they're going to do, and they were going to be, and then they announced it, I think, officially on their site as well, and saying, right, we're going to have some construction work going on, and we're going to it's going to bring the fans closer to the pitch on this side. And what they kind of sold it was that like behind the goals where they'd squared up the bottom tiers to make them more parallel with the pitch. They said, we're going to do that the same for the West Stand. I thought, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be so good. But really bizarrely, nothing's really changed. I think it cost about 10 million quid as well. I haven't been there, so I'll judge it more when I'm there. But looking at the design and the pictures of it, it basically looks like they've just kind of, if anything, the fans have come further away. They've just squared it off. But there's no one really any closer to the pitch. So it's a bit strange, that one.
Yeah,
And it's
I
a
would
funny
expect
stadium, isn't it?
changes. To be fair, I would expect changes because they pretty much ripped the whole stadium up for all these monster trucks this summer, and then they had to put it back together for Soccer Aid, and what a shambles the stadium looked like for that. So
Oh, do you know
I
what?
would
It's embarrassing, wasn't
expect it was, yeah. I would expect some changes with it because I think in certain stands where people have been moved from where they were, and they've been moved up and across and into different bands, and that was to be expected this summer because they were saying that they were going to make changes. And if it makes it better, and if it brings fans closer to the pitch, it does that. People are going to criticize it because they have moved seats, and fair, that's understandable. You've had this seat for 6 years or whatever, and now you're being moved 20 rows to the right and up a bit. People don't like that, at the end of the day. But we'll have to see what it's like, and we'll have to judge it come the end of August, going into September, see whether people like it or not.
Absolutely, mate. I totally agree. Before you go, mate, one question I want to ask you is about next season then. What are your predictions? And honestly, I mean, I know we try not to be too biased because I try not to be, but realistically, what are you expecting from West Ham next season?
I've said this about the Conference League quite a lot. I'll start with that. And if we get through this qualifying round, I think we'll go far. But I do worry about this qualifying round because I've just got the West Ham in the back of my mind saying, we're going to mess this up, aren't we? Qualifying round against some team that nobody's ever heard of. We laughed at we laughed at Spurs last year for having to go through it. Now we've got to do it, which is slightly disappointing. But if we get through that, I think we'll go quite far in the competition. Hopefully we will get to that final in Prague, I think it is, next year. Fingers crossed. I would take getting deep into that competition and anything above eighth. Eighth plus for me, I would be happy with, because you've got the likes of Newcastle who are gonna continue to strengthen, and I think they're going to aim for a top half finish next season. You have got clubs that are strengthening and are going to be better next season. I do think Man United will be better next season under Erik ten Hag. I think Arsenal will progressively start to get better. I don't know how to say that because I absolutely despise them. Just despise North London on a whole. But to be fair with Arsenal, they might take a backward step because they got to play Thursday, Sunday football again, which they haven't done for a couple of years. But there are, I think it's clear that there are going to be teams that are going to be strengthening, and we've got to strengthen as well, because we can't all of a sudden fall behind and then we dip down into the 9th and 10th, and then we know what happens from there. So
absolutely,
it's
a strange one, isn't it? Because it's all, if you look at next season, it feels like the most competitive it's ever been for me. Like you just saying, I mean, you've got, and when people say, "Oh, we're chasing top 6," or some clubs go, "Oh, we want top 4," well, effectively, you've only got really one position available in top 4, realistically, for other clubs, because Manchester City and Liverpool will take 2 of them. Chelsea arguably will take the 3rd position, and then 4th's only up for grabs for one club, and out of that, you've got, as you said, Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester United vying for that position. West Ham, I'm hoping, will be in the mix. Thereabouts somewhere. You've then got the likes of Wolves, who I think are going to be very strong next season. Newcastle, you've said already. We haven't even touched on Leicester. I mean, another club that, I think they underperformed a little bit last season, so I'd expect them to come back stronger. I mean, already you've got like a top 10 there already, and you're thinking, if we're going to be top 6, let's say top 6 or 7, we've got to be really astute in this transfer market and be quite bold. And I think, we've got to have a very good home form again. It's going to be massively competitive next season, and it's exciting though. But I mean, Manchester City at home, first game. I mean, it doesn't go much tougher than that. Well, but we got a point from last time round. What are you thinking for the opening game?
Yeah, I like that, to be honest. I do like a good away day to start the season. And Newcastle away last year was just perfect. But Man City at home, get them out of the way. Haaland's first game, he might still be. He might have to adapt, even though he is fantastic. He might have to adapt to the Premier League, and it might take him a month or a couple of games to really start banging the goals, because that is inevitable. That is inevitable that he will stop bagging in goals in that side. There's no doubting they are the best side in the league at the end of the day. Liverpool pushed them last season right to the end, but they're a very good side, and I can't see a better time to play them than the first game of the season. We won't get battered, because we haven't been battered by a side for a good couple of years now. It will be tight. They won't like playing us because last season, they beat us up there, but we drew and beat them at our place out of our 3 fixtures. We were a bogey team for them last year, because we did knock them out of their own cup and we got a point off of them. Not many clubs can say that they even got a point off of City last season.
Absolutely.
So we got that. They won't be looking forward to it. We can go into it. It's a free hit. I don't care.
It is. And do you know what? I think it'd be electric. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just say that we get the signings over the line that we want. I mean, I haven't touched on Jesse Lingard. I'll try and avoid talking about Jesse because I seem to be on every show talking about Jesse Lingard. But let's just say we do sign Lingard, get Brozier in, another good midfielder, say Keane, Lewis Potter. So, all these players, if we can get them in for that game, I mean, that it's going to be rocking. And then
at the end of the day,
yeah.
At the end of the day, the pressure's on them, not us.
Absolutely.
The spotlight will be on them. Will Man City throw the first punch in the title race in the first game of the season? What will happen in that game? We've got to go into it and go, you know what? Let's not hang about. Let's do exactly what we did to them last season. Let's get at them. Let's try and put them onto the back foot. Get the atmosphere up. Because last season they crumbled at our place. At the end of the day. In that game, they crumbled. And they did score 2 goals in the second half, but that's Man City. They are so good. They can come back and just switch a game on its head like that. That was a very dramatic game, but we didn't end up getting a point out of it, and we pushed them. We were, at half time, we were 2-0 up against Man City.
Absolutely.
They will not like to see that game.
I thought overall, we were the better side that day. And I think you're right. I mean, and as well, I mean, the message I'll be saying to the players if I was David Moyes is, look, what an opportunity. What a way to start a season. Can you imagine beating Man City, the champions, at home to kick the season off? I mean, there's no better way to start. And as you say, and if worse comes to it, and let's say we did lose, which, that is going to be expected. People are going to expect us to lose that game. It's not the end of the world. It's not, you're going to walk away overly disappointed. You think, okay, it's a bit of a, we just got to put it right straight away. So I just can't wait. I'm really excited. Unfortunately, I'm on holiday for the game, so I'll be in Mallorca watching it in a bar somewhere. It's over to,
as I said, the spotlight will be on them. But Man City fans, I've got full faith that they'll be looking at that thinking, if we haven't got a top 6 side to start the season, they would not fancy to have us. They probably said outside the big 6. We don't want West Ham. We don't want them first game of the season because they caused us issues last season. And we will again on the first game of the season. As you said earlier, that place will be rocking. And I fully expect us to give them a game and really push them, even if we don't pick up anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're right. Before we wrap this up then, mate, I mean, you just alluded to something great there. I mean, I think West Ham have sort of become that club that we've always wanted to be, really, over the last, for a long, long time, is that team that no one really wants to play anymore. I mean, I remember when Everton, I know it's obviously with David Moyes, but I remember feeling that way with them over the years. They were never a team you wanted to play. Home or away, you think this is going to be a really hard game. Like, if we're going to win, we've got to play really, really well. And I just think that's where West Ham are at now. Like, for anyone to beat West Ham, they've got to be at their very best. We're not a pushover anymore. All right, we might not play at our best every week, of course, but even when we're not at our best, we just seem to grind out results, don't we? And really, and it's so great to see. It's so exciting, and it's so exciting to go into a season with that feeling,
Oh, definitely. We will have nothing to lose in that first game, and to be fair, I quite like it. I'd prefer to have them at home than something like Wolves or Leicester or something like that first game of the season. I like having City first game. Bring them on, first game of the season. Bring them on.
Absolutely. Jake, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon and hopefully appearing on your show again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me on. Long overdue. Apologies for that. But thank you very much for having me on. And I hope everybody's enjoyed it.
Cheers, Jake. You take care. Bye, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye.